Hi, my name is Pete Troilo, Director of Global Advisory and Analysis with Devex. Thank you for joining us for this business-focused Google Hangout. We are going to discuss a little bit about localization, development localization today. Many of the world's major donors have undergone a series of policy and procurement reforms over the last several years. One key element of these reforms is this push to go local, really to move funding, contracting, and leadership of development projects to the local level where development really happens. For some time now, there's been a lot of sort of uncertainty and debate around development localization and its business implications. It's really the central reason why Devex is chosen to host our first ever International Development Partnership Forum in Nairobi, Kenya on October 16th. The event will bring together leaders of local East Africa-based organizations together with global development implementers to strengthen their networks and really focus on the practical requirements around localization. As a lead up to that event here today, I wanted to frame some of those requirements. I also wanted to discuss aid localization in the context of three main groups. One, the donor community, two, the global implementer community, and three, the local organization community. So the world's major bilateral donors, particularly, have publicly proclaimed their intention to push more funding to local government, to local NGOs, and local businesses. So what's really happening and how's it going? I think it's fair to say that the development localization has been somewhat evolutionary, not really revolutionary, but it's certainly going to continue in earnest, and it's a force to be reckoned with. For years and years, we've heard terms like country systems, country-led development, and country ownership. All of this really implies that donors are encouraging partner countries to take charge of their own development course. From a more practical dollars and cents perspective, however, localization holds the potential to save money by eliminating costly parallel systems and strengthening local institutions as well as delivery mechanisms. These are important arguments, but the financial argument is an important one, I think, as we grapple with tightening donor budgets and to focus on value for money. We're hearing these terms more and more today. So the European Commission, AUSAID, DFID, MCC, a lot of these major donors are all instituting local ownership policies and targets. The proposal that's probably garnered the most attention is USAID's plan to reduce its reliance on large contracts and deliver more aid money through country systems and local organizations. As an element of the USAID reform agenda, the target is to channel 30% of its foreign aid directly through local institutions by 2015. Now, depending on who you're talking to at USAID, the agency is about halfway to that goal of 30%, and of that total, roughly half goes to partner country governments, and the remainder is going to local organizations. So it's a fairly significant pool of money we're talking about already today. Country ownership is also a fundamental element of each of the Obama administration's marquee global development initiatives, including Feed the Future and the Global Climate Change Initiative. So let me try to give you two examples, global health examples, that I think tell the story of localization. One is about PEPFAR and the other is about the Global Fund. So in 2008, US legislation reauthorized PEPFAR, the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief. That legislation stressed sustainability as a guiding principle for PEPFAR's next phase. In preparation for an eventual handover of programming to host governments where PEPFAR operates, technical assistance for government agencies and local partners is really now the priority of PEPFAR investment. PEPFAR has signed partnership frameworks with 19 countries, including major partners in Africa such as South Africa, Kenya, and Nigeria. All of this aimed at strengthening country capacity, ownership, and leadership. According to Devex's own data and analysis, 1 in 10 HIV/AIDS-related procurement opportunities issued by PEPFAR was focused on capacity building for host governments and host country local partners. In terms of the Global Fund, an organization which has been very strongly supported by the US and other donor countries, the Global Fund has done an excellent job at positioning itself as perhaps the most powerful driver of global health localization. Most global health finance programs are implemented by developing countries themselves, And the Global Fund's done an excellent job at creating these innovative partnerships between national governments and civil society. Essentially, I would say the basic principles of local ownership and sustainability are built into nearly every grant that the Global Fund approves. Now, all of this really begs the question of how global implementers, large international consultancies, international non-government organizations can succeed and thrive in this new environment. Typically, local organizations have received donor funding through subcontracts or grants under contract mechanisms, all of these managed by larger international development consultancies and NGOs. Many of the largest contractors and NGOs see the localization movement and related trends as a bit of a challenge, not surprising. Some are responding by expanding internationally through mergers and acquisitions. Others are establishing local offices to increase their competitiveness in the local market. As competition for these direct awards heats up, individual procurements are likely to get smaller because more funds will be flowing through these local organizations. It's also reasonable to expect a modest decline in the mega contracts of the past. But just because money and contracting is going local, it doesn't shut out implementers completely. For large programs such as PEPFAR, global implementers will be called on to identify and assess local capacity gaps and provide the capacity building and training and resources to close those gaps. This will apply, I think, across many areas, including program management, financial management, monitoring and evaluation, and several others. Even on-budget support doesn't automatically preclude foreign firms from project participation. In fact, there are cases where foreign firms support on-budget projects because international donors want to maintain a certain standard of oversight. And last, but certainly not least, are the local organizations themselves, really the linchpin for this plan to succeed. There are some fundamental things local organizations can and should do to position themselves to take advantage of localization and secure more donor funding. Specifically, local organizations should take full advantage of the training and capacity building activities being offered by donors and global implementers. These efforts will help local groups learn global best practices so they can begin to apply them effectively to local contexts and conditions. Local groups should also invest in both business development and compliance, and now is the time to do just that. So from basic networking to developing well-written capability statements and past performance qualifications, project forecasting as well. Local organizations are smart to start raising the sophistication of their business development strategies, tactics, and tools. Also, from the eyes of international donors, compliance is key. So local groups really should start investing in bidding and procurement rules, in that understanding of bidding and procurement rules, financial management and reporting requirements, and really work to improve important organizational functions. Also, proposal writing, project monitoring, evaluation, and reporting and financial management. The bottom line is that today it is more important than ever for local and international development organizations to view one another as genuine partners, not competition. This is exactly the kind of conversation Devex will be facilitating on October 16th in Nairobi. We hope to see you there. Thank you very much for being with me today.